Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
A brief panel discussion. We'll just wait till everybody comes back on. And let's see, what time are we at? So we have about 15 minutes to, delve a bit deeper in. I have a few questions and just awareness that I picked up as we were, experiencing all of the speakers. So I'm just going to see if we can get myself to pop up on the screen. So if our tech people can help us, right now the screen is frozen on one person. So, all right, I'm just going to keep talking because I really want to do this panel discussion. So, everyone, I felt this like incredible thread of awareness, and I heard, these beautiful aha moments. KAELEN, you said this phrase of when you knocked on your son's door, you were so grateful that he answered. And I heard that throughout all of these conversations, this space of inviting in the essence of yourself and inviting in the process that allows you to become more within the experiences of your life. And Laura shared about, the vent into gratitude, to invite in all of those processes that allow us to, step into the care of each other within our families. And so I just want to, put out this query to all of you. There's this consistency of how, as Laura said, this me, we, us. There's this consistency in our lives of how we do that. And, I just would invite some discussion on around how you allowed that process of becoming more of the me into the us, as you've all, talked about in your own way, within your families, and how important that is when you're dealing with your children, and to have your spouse stand with you in that process. So, if you guys maybe would like to speak a bit to that, for sure, just unmute yourself and speak away.
I would love to answer that. I'm enjoying picturing that old way pyramid on just the tip, because when we have movements, navel radiating energy that we've got shut down here in dorsal vagal shutdown, it's like being in that little me that's down there that's all like. And I was enjoying picturing that the way we flip that pyramid is with a practice we call alternate shoulder rolls. So we're going to risk going a little bit seesawy on that fulcrum that's like, inviting a little bit of right and left. When we move one side of the body, we are mostly doing it with the opposite brain. When you move the right shoulder, that's mostly being operated by the left brain. The left brain is that brain that's about logic, like, gotta figure it out. When we move the left side of the body, that's mostly right brain. That's the part that has timelessness. It's gonna be okay. So when we invite some of that bravery to awaken the me, the shutdown dances, and they pop out because they're going to come out, like the trauma expert said, with some, is this okay? Is this okay? If the family system is educated about these fighting rhythms, there is a percussive, there is a cranky, and so they are able to not take that personally. If a lover, you get, your lover gets triggered, and you recognize what that is, that's an unfinished infant-parent dance. I don't have to take that personally. Then we begin to recognize our own triggering and have compassion, other people getting triggered and having compassion, and that creates the dance, that flips the pyramid. That was my thought and my share.
That's beautiful. Thank you. KAELEN or Stephen, do you have anything to add into that? You know, how you integrate all of that within your spousal relationship to support your family?
You know, as this was Dee, thank you, and Laura, thank you, and Stephen, thank you, because I just love how this thread is like all the same, right? We're all on the same thing. What really hit it for me, I was me, we, us. That's where I came to when I was in that dark night of the soul, and when my son came out as gay, and everything was wobbly. Oh my gosh, because I couldn't sustain me. There's no way in the world I could sustain the us or the we. There just was no way. And so when things started to shift, and I went into this place of, I've got to do me. You know, there's the scripture that says, you're to love thy neighbor as thyself. And I'm like, it's got to be flipped. Because if you really stop, how can you give what you don't have? Just like Laura was talking about, just like Dee and Stephen were talking about, how can you give what you don't have? So you've got to stop, and you've got to sit in this place of, I got to do me. It's the most selfless thing that we can do, to say, I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to eat healthy food. I'm going to speak kind and loving words. I'm going to actually want to be positive in my life. I want to have all of these beautiful things. And when we start, I'm going to meditate, right? Oh my gosh. We start doing all of these things, we're building up to a way that, oh my goodness gracious, we have this ability and this capability of being so much more. And then we become the foundation, right? We have to stop and recognize we're on that wobbly. Something's got to shift, because we're going to fall, right? My husband was on that wobbly for a long time. And I couldn't do him. He had to do him. And he did certain things that helped him get that foundation to where he's like here. And now the two of us together, oh my gosh, we do for the family. Let's just say it's all family. Always for us first, then everything that pours out, it's for our family.
Beautiful. Thank you. I can see that for sure, that thread of conversation between all of you. And, even you just alluded to that space of, you allowed him to do him. And as Dee and Stephen did that beautiful process of shifting the anger and receiving the anger, how just that opens it up for within our families and our communities to understand more of themselves and ourselves, because we just allow, and how beautiful that is for our families. Yeah, Laura, for sure.
Yeah. So I used to do a program called the Marriage Upgrade. And it was interesting because it was about how to become the compassionate and emotional leader of your home, and lead by example for everyone, including that me, we, us structure. And one of the things that was so amazing about that, and I have two little kids. So I've been married for 10 years and I have two small ones, one's 3 and one's 6. And it's been, these first few years of our parenthood life have been a lot of dynamic shifting. So lots of grief. And so recognizing that my husband and I grieve differently. And that, for me, letting go of who I used to be, and him letting go of who I used to be, because I used to run a backpacker hostel on an island in the Caribbean. That's where we met. So like the party girl who owned a bar and ran a hostel is a little different than Mama Laura, who, runs a business and a home and manages the family, but it's different. It's a different version of me. And so we both had to grieve our old selves and our old lives while still maintaining some sense of self. And I think one of the things that we've really done well is reminding each other who we truly are, but also helping each other continue to grow and evolve. And so I think for me, it's really about having compassion for his grief of who he is now, him accepting me for who I am now, and honoring that sometimes it's not who we thought it would be, because we all continue to grow and change. And then what gets to happen is we get to be better for our kids. And we created a family value system. So let me see if I can grab it real quick. I'm going to just take you on a little tour. Let me grab it off my bulletin board. My daughter goes to this amazing school called the Acton Academy, and they talk about how families are like businesses, and why do we take time to write a business plan, but we don't take time to create values and mission statements for our family. And so together with my 3 and 6-year-old and my husband and I, we talked about, what does family mean? What part do we each play in the family? Who are we as a family? What is our battle cry? What is our rallying cry for our family? And so we had to agree upon top priorities for our family individually. And then we came together and chose, and it was just so fun. And so I'll just read you a couple, but basically, you know, and my son is hilarious because most of his answers are poopy butt, but so, you know, if that's what he wants to be in the family, poopy butt it is, right? But basically, you know, Aaron was the support, the backbone, the implementer, and the instigator. And I am the emotional leader and the visionary. And Isla, our daughter 6, is a helper, a teacher, a nurturer. And Kai is a comedian and a connector. And that was those were roles that they came up for themselves and with each other. And, you know, when we have the Jack family, which is our last name, the Jack family is, and my daughter said, kind. We're kind. So what we stand for as a family, this as an exercise to do before you have children, it could be something really beautiful to do that as a couple. Like, what is our mission statement as a couple? What is our belief system? What are our values, right? Because then when we are feeling wobbly, we have something like a business plan to come back to. Hey, our mission statement says that we are always kind, right? Or that we always try to be kind. So we're not being really kind right now. So maybe we need to like circle back, right? And there's compassion for that, and that's okay. But like, it helps us have some grounding and some center. And so it's been really fun to see that play out with our family too, to have these with each, now that we have 2 children, like how the dynamics continue to shift, right? So I love the idea of the me, we, us, and how we can have compassion for our partner. And then there's a part that has to let go of them being who we think they're supposed to be and loving them for who they are. And Byron Katie, who I love, she wrote Loving What Is. And one of the things that I constantly reflect back on is I have to love him for who he is. Even if I want him to change or evolve, there's probably something in me that I'm still judging and wishing would change and evolve. So I always think, what is the mirror here? What am I supposed to be learning here? How can I continue to grow and change? Because if I'm getting pissed off, then likely there's something in here that I'm not liking very much. And so as a reflection exercise, which can be exhausting sometimes, but it just has helped me so much to be kind to him in his heartache and pain. And when I see anger, I think sadness, because his anger scares me a little bit, but his sadness I can be with. So I just own that his anger is a cover for other fears that he may have, and face everything and rise is one of my mottos. So that's my feeling around spousal love, and how do we have that compassion and continue to grow as a family.
Thanks, Laura.
Laura, I'm just going to chime right in on this. Oh my goodness gracious, because, you know, we were your family's children's ages. We had all of these hopes and dreams and aspirations. Yeah. And when our son came out, we grieved, because what we thought in our head was going to be us, our family, wasn't. But here's the most powerful part. When we allowed the grieving process to happen and acknowledge it, then come in with that compassion for all of us, and then literally stepped out of the way, said, we were talking about, you do you. We're going to love and support you in every way possible, and allow you and hold that space. We're not creating it. We're holding that space for that person to be authentic, to be transparent, and to be vulnerable in however they want to show up in life. And here's the beautiful part. Here's the secret sauce. When we do that, it can't help but be for the greatest and highest good of all concerned. Never in a million years would I have, I always, you know, we always dream we want the most wonderful things for our children. I couldn't imagine that my son is just as happy as he could ever be, because I had put him in a square hole. You know what I'm saying? He now fits in the right space. It is more than I could have ever dreamed of. It is so beautiful. We have to be willing to let that go and to be okay with it. Our daughter, who's just another amazing human, she has a little tattoo on her wrist and it says, "It's okay. It's okay." So with that, just remember, it's okay. We may be unsure, we may be grieving, but ultimately, it's okay.
Thank you. Such a beautiful conversation that's interacting, with everyone here today. And, we only have a few more minutes. So I just want to say, there's this beautiful awareness that I'm feeling from all of you. And I think that it was either Dee or Stephen that said that, talked about the multi-generational embodiment of the dance of the healthy relationship. And how important it is to have those spaces of value within your families. And, KAELEN, you talked about how when your son came together with his partner, they both had a religious background, completely different religion, but the structure of that and allowing those values to guide us during those different times where we're struggling. So we only have a minute left. So if, everyone, just if you have something, quick that you would like to share, please, I would love for that. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on this session with us and, sending your magnificence out into the world in a united consciousness that we're creating. So Dee, would you like to share quick? Wait, you're on mute.
And or Stephen, did you have something you wanted to say?
Thank you for saying that. No, I was actually just saying thank you as well. You were saying
I'll
thank
say
you.
mine quickly. And that is just in Schiffer 2, helping people understand these fighting rhythms. That the ability for the belly brain to bubble up the snap of the head that helps us say, no, thank you. That we cannot be compassionate if we don't have room for annoyed and cranky. And then the ability to feel the cranky and direct it towards some artistic expression, some sport, some utility in the house. And it was so beautiful that we all, all those head nods, that we're all recognizing that in order to have unity consciousness, we need individuation.
Thank you. Thank you, Dee. KAELEN, do you have anything quick that you would like to finish up with?
I will end us off with The Grumpy Monkey, which is this great children's book where basically, because that's pretty much all I do right now is read children's books. But there's this book called The Grumpy Monkey where basically the grumpy monkey comes in, hey Neil, and he's having a bad day. This guy, his name's Chimpanzee. And all these other characters in the book, Norman, the gorilla, and all these other characters are like, Norman or Jim, why are you so grumpy? He's like, I'm not grumpy. What are you talking about? He's like, you look grumpy. Your eyebrows are like this. And he's like, so he relaxes his eyebrows. And Snake says, oh, you look grumpy today, Jim. And he's like, I'm not grumpy. Like, and he's like, well, your shoulders are all slouched over. And so he's like getting all this feedback that he's so grumpy. And so finally, eventually, they're like, you should dance. You should do this. You should do this. And he's like, I'm not grumpy. So he goes up and he's like, I feel a little bad that I yelled at my friends, but I feel even more bad for myself. And as he's about to fall into the pits of despair for himself, Norman walks up, who's the one who started it all, the gorilla. And he's like, Norman, are you okay? Because he's grouchy looking, right? And Norman says, oh, I danced with porcupines. So he's covered with quills, right? And he's like, and Norman says, it's okay though. I'll feel better soon. And he said, Jim, are you still feeling grumpy? And Jim's like, I am, but I'll probably feel better soon. And he said, well, it's a wonderful day to be grumpy. And they both felt better already. So I think that moral of the story is that sometimes we have to allow for us to feel grumpy and let it be okay. And then the feelings pass so much more quickly. So thank you so much. And I'm so glad we got to be here together and connect in this way.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. All right, we're going to move on to our next group of speakers, and I'm so excited to be able to be a part of that with everyone. So some of them I know. Neil, it's wonderful to connect with you. I'm just gonna, just allow for a moment. So I'm just gonna try and connect with my tech team so that my speaker view starts to show up. Oh, hi, Dr. Yugandhar. We can't hear you, you're on mute. All right, okay. I'm just gonna try and move ahead with this because I know I'm not showing up on speaker view, but all of you are for sure. So I just wanna take a moment to just allow us to kind of sink into the energy. You know, as one session ends and another one begins, there's a flow and a change in the energy and the essence. So if everybody just wants to, take a breath and connect into your space, into the beingness of you, and just recognize the incredible gift that you are to be with us in this World United event, to allow yourself to share openly and freely from the alignment of the individual into the consciousness of the united world that we are. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited always to meet all of you and to reconnect with some of you that I've known before.